guess feeling rather angry and frustrated about something, probably about a lot of things. He got hold of a gun and he went to work and killed a couple of people and shot a bunch of others out of his anger. And, you know, we hear stuff like this all the time. People hurting other people out of anger, out of a fit of anger. And so I thought, I mean, presumably you're not feeling like that, but just so you can understand, when Krishna speaks in Bhagavad-gita and his transcendental knowledge, it covers just like kind of every subject, everything that we need to know in our life, so that we can actually become free and peaceful, full of love for the Supreme Person, and full of love and compassion for others, not feeling animosity towards someone just because they've, you know, we've perceived that they've wronged us in some way. And so, you know, it's like our mind is really a trip. So I thought I'd be able to read this. Sorry, I just have to put my light on. Okay. Then text 2, Bhagavad-gita, chapter 2, Bhagavad-gita, text 62 and 63. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. From anger, delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So there's a lot in here. So, you know, we may not consider ourselves to be lusty people. Sorry. But we come to the material world and we take on these bodies. These bodies are foreign to the living being, the spirit soul. We're an eternal, blissful spirit soul. And when we desire to enjoy with our material senses, to enjoy separately from the Supreme Soul, we're given a material body to try and enjoy. And so we're covered by this external physical body we can see, but we're also covered by a subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. There are different layers covering the soul. And the mind is considered to be the king of the senses. So we've got our different senses. We see something, we smell something, we taste something, you know, we hear something. We've got our different senses. And with those senses, we're looking outwards. And we're looking outwards to try and find some happiness, some fulfillment, some peace. And when we don't find that, which we can never find complete peace and complete satisfaction because we're a spirit soul. So when we're looking in the material dimension and using our mind and senses to try and find that, then we never get the satisfaction and the peace and the happiness that we're seeking. And so then what can happen is a person gets frustrated. Get frustrated that I haven't got what I want, you know, maybe envy, other people got something better than me. And so when we get frustrated, and then, you know, a heightened version of frustration is anger. And when we become angry, already we're deluded, right? Already we're identifying ourselves as to be something we're not. We're forgetting that we're an eternal spiritual being. And so we can be angry about our situation. And, you know, some people have really horrible situations in life. You know, it's like this is not to nullify or to discredit or to, you know, I don't know what the word is, diminish the pain and suffering that so many people go through in their life, and this person had, you know, it's like abusive childhood and everything. But he'd also had a lot of people reach out to try and help him in many different ways. And he'd been given a second chance. And he still chose to fall into the material pool, to use his senses, use his mind in such a way as to completely lose the intelligence. And when we lose our intelligence, we're deluded, and what's called that, Krishna describes, we fall down into the material pool. So we can think of us as a beautiful, pure spirit soul, pure spiritual being. And we're covered in the material world, we're covered. We don't have to be, but we are. We're covered by material modes of nature. We're covered by the mind with all its desires and hankerings and thoughts and feelings and everything. And then there's a layer above that, the intelligence. So the intelligence is supposed to drive the mind, which is supposed to drive the senses, right? We're not supposed to have our senses in control and our mind in control. We're above the mind, we're above the senses and the mind and the intelligence and the false ego, then the spirit soul, right? So there's layers and layers of conditioning. And the spirit soul can use their intelligence, and they can use their mind, and they can use their senses in such a way as to create a really good life, a really peaceful life, a happy life, a joyful life, a spiritual life. So you can be living in the spiritual world, really, while you're still here, embodied with this hunk of meat, with our mind, and even with our desires, you know, cravings and everything. They can all be eating at us, but we don't need to be touched by them, right? When we've got a body, we've got a mind, we've got senses, you know, the mind is always going to come through with, I want this, I want that, you know, just like a little kid, you know, I want this, you know, and then the mother figures out which things are good for the kid and gives them those things. Not everything the child wants, right? And so that we're like that. The spirit soul chooses, or can choose, is supposed to choose what is the best things to do to make situations better, not worse. Right? And so this person chose to be overwhelmed by their mind and their anger and their frustration, and became completely deluded, completely ignorant of understanding, I don't have a right to go kill somebody because I don't like what they said or did. Do you know, like that's just like, you know, just because, I mean, God, there'd be nobody left in the world if we all did that. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's like, I don't like how you said that, I don't like what you did, I don't like, you know, bang. It's like, you know, we're not supposed to do that. Right? We're supposed to use our intelligence and to direct our mind and our senses so that you don't use your senses to cause harm, right? You don't pick up get your hand, put something in it and, you know, go try and kill somebody because you don't like what they said. So I'm not sure how he got to work, but generally it was by bus. I don't know if it was on that day. But he lived in South Auckland and was working in the centre of Auckland, you know. And I don't know, bus ride, it's quite a long way. And, you know, pick up traffic. Like, imagine all the other people sitting in the bus. There's someone just seething with anger, and it's either got a gun with him or he's hidden one somewhere, you know. And all that ride there, he had the opportunity to go, no, I'll forgive the people for being imperfect, you know. I'll choose a different path. I won't let my desires, my mind, my anger, I won't let them overtake me, the spirit soul. I'm not going to let them use my body, my mind, my intelligence. You know, I'm actually going to redirect my body, my mind, and my intelligence. And maybe talk to them. Maybe, think, I'm not handling this, for whatever reason, we can have all sorts of reasons why we don't handle stuff. Do you understand what I mean? And this is something that we will go through at some point in time for whatever reason and to some degree, right? And so it's important that we understand, so we don't just look out there at the world and go, what the hell? I mean, we will, but, how could people just be so destructive? How could people just not care about somebody to that degree? They're just going to wipe them off the planet. Well, you don't. The person still exists eternally, but you've taken away their vehicle, and we don't have the right to do that. And so what Krishna is saying, that it's due to our lust, our anger, our lust to try and enjoy something in this world. And even if you have everything you could possibly get, you're still not going to be satisfied, because we're a spiritual being. We need spiritual nourishment. We need spiritual food. We need to direct our mind and our intelligence, our senses. We need to direct them for our good and for the good of others, right? To come closer to others in a loving relationship, come closer to our supreme eternal friend. So that even though the mind may go, I want to kill that bastard, you don't follow it. You go, my God, that's a dumb thought, I'm not going to follow it, Just because I didn't like that, I don't follow it. I'm an eternal spiritual being, and so are they. And they are covered by their mind and their desires and their conditioning, just like I am. And so, give them a bit of leeway, give them a bit of grace that, they're struggling in life too. They're reacting to something that's going on in their life. I don't have to join into that kind of party. Do you know what I mean? I can actually step back and remember. I mean, he possibly never heard, so it's not like he can remember him, I'm a spirit soul, but I'm sure he'd heard some things that would have protected him from going down that path. But we choose. We can choose. Always. We have a choice. Whether I can remember I'm an eternal spiritual being, everyone else is also, I am and everyone else a part and parcel of the supreme eternal being, and I can use this human form of life, this valuable human form of life, to help re-establish that loving relationship with God, and simultaneously I will re-establish a loving relationship with others. And those who, for some reason, you just don't get along with, you can do it graciously, right? You can do it with a little bit of distance, Doesn't need to be animosity. Can actually be, like you agree to disagree and just, let it be peaceful, right? So Krishna is giving us advice here. Don't follow the dictation of your senses, your mind, your intelligence. Use it. Use it for our well-being.